Hello, everyone. Erev Tov. Just a minute. Is a host.
Yeah, let's give 1 more minute and then we can start.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few minutes. So can we start? Yeah. Maya, just a minute. I see that our students are also from, I see also Russia and Israel and the United States still join us. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. And thank you for taking time to join us today. And for those who don't know me, I'm Yael, director of Hillel Haifa. It means also campus and Haifa University, Technion, and Educational College Gordon. So welcome to our safe space. I feel that almost for 3 weeks, the sense of time totally disappears for me. And at night and the morning, yesterday and tomorrow, everything is mixed and some chaos and tohu vavohu, yeah, some confusion. So we try step by step together to build some steps toward the order and the new reality, and to be together in this way. So thank you for everyone, and we start. It's our small tradition. We start with the tefillah leshalom. So Reut, I'll be happy if you can read for us.
Put it on the screen.
Yeah. Yes, just a minute.
Great. Shalom, everybody. I'm Reut Neumann, and I am the Deputy Director of Hillel Israel. As you can see, I'm wearing uniform. I'm back as a reserve. I've been called since the war started. I was actually leading a delegation in the US with students from Hillel, Sapir, and Ben Gurion University. And since we got back, I've been called back to the Army. And we do hope for better days, and we do hope for peace. יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שנבטל מלחמות ושפיכות דמים מן העולם, ושתמשיך שלום גדול ונפלא בעולם, ולא יישא גוי על גוי חרב, ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, רק יכירו וידעו כל יושבי תבל, אשר לא באנו לעולם הזה בשביל שנאה וקנאה, וקנדור ושפיכות דמים. רק באנו לעולם כדי לעשות טוב, ויקים בנו מקרא חשוב, ונתתי שלום בארץ, ושכבתם, ואין מחריד וחרב, ולא תעבור בארצם. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us this evening for Israel, and this morning for the US friends. Yael, let's continue.
Thank you. And the semester in our campuses won't start before December, and that means that we are far from order and routine. But we try to build a new routine, and we are still in Zoom. And today I invited both students and academic staff to share with us their experience, feelings, thoughts, and probably more questions than answers. And we will start with the sharing. We will start with Daniela. Daniela, do you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good evening. So Daniela, gratitude from Gordon Educational College, and you are welcome to introduce yourself and to share with us.
Hi, everyone. So like Yael said, my name is Daniela. I'm 26 years old, and I live in Haifa. I graduated this year from Gordon College, bachelor's degree in English literature. And I felt you when you said that you lost a sense of time recently. I think that's the same case for me. I think nights and days are kind of got mixed up for me. It's challenging times, but I do hope we will get better, and we will have better and more peaceful days. And I think we're all trying to do our best to kind of like cope with the situation as we're also processing it. But yeah, so that's me, I think, in a nutshell.
Thank you. And we start with the sharing of our students, and then we will move to our academic staff. So Liron, are you here?
Hi, yes.
So Liron is first of all my dear friend, and a part of a Hillel family, also in Haifa and in Boston. So you are welcome to introduce yourself and to share with us about your such unique position now, like a shlicha from a Jewish agency right now in Boston, and also about how all this situation war influence on you and impact on the situation of students.
Yes, sure. So, hi everyone. First of all, I'm Liron, as Yael said. I was born and raised in Haifa all my life, and I finished my BA in Education and History of Israel in Haifa University. I worked with Yael in Haifa, Hillel, and today I'm the Jewish Agency Israel Fellow in Northeastern in Boston. So it's good to be on this Zoom and like to talk with you, especially in those times that my job looked extremely different for how it looked like before October 7. So I will give a little bit background about Northeastern and how my job was look until October 7. So Northeastern was considered as a social campus, not something too much political. I didn't deal with too many cases with anti-Semitism. We didn't have even BDS, apartheid wall, how you see all over the world. We didn't have something like that. All the events that the students want to make, it was social events, holidays, thing just like to be together, Israel week, but also like not something too crazy. So the job was pretty quiet. We just deal with like social things and a lot of fun and connection to Israel. Now, we have so many groups that start to come up and starting their job just to spread hate on campus. As I said, we didn't have BDS, and in the SJP group, we have maybe 3 students that never done something. Today, there is a lot of students, and they open even more groups. And we had last Friday another protest. It was the 3rd protest since the beginning of the war, pro-Palestinian protest. And for our assuming, it was more than 1,000 students who came to this protest. To be honest, it's the first time that I'm outside of Israel when something extremely dramatic happening in Israel, and I was aware to what happening to the Jewish community outside of Israel in a war situation. The hate to Israel, to the Jewish people, it's so big that I can't even describe to you the feeling that the students dealing with, the feeling that I'm going to my office every day, and like all my official life, like my professional life and my private life already mixed, and I don't have like stop after I come back home. Like it's every time it's continuing, the text, what happening, the social media issues that it's never stop. And it's even like the biggest war that we have here. Students afraid. They told me they put their necklace inside their shirt. They took their kippah, their yarmulke, and things not will be better, like how we can see this in the next couple weeks, month, I don't know. I can say that we're trying to do a lot of things to the Jewish community on campus to feel safe, to feel that they have their community, that they have their safe place at Hillel. And we in touch every day how they can report about cases on campus, but it's still really difficult that the world don't really see what's happening. And I don't know how we still, how people still blame us even when they kill us, but this is another story. So yeah, this is generally my job, to deal with a lot of supporting activism and trying to be united and support my students. I also want to add that I'm lead a trip to Israel. I don't know if someone heard here about the Fact Finder trip, perspective trip, that it's like 10 days about the conflict. all the vision of this trip is to take 20 students from Northeastern. There is this trip in a lot of university, but like I'm taking 20 from Northeastern that I supposed to take 5 Jewish and the rest non-Jewish, that all of them in leadership position. The last trip was in last May, and the group was amazing. We took him to Israel. They're going also to Ramallah and Bethlehem, and it was a meaningful trip. Now in those days, I have 2 non-Jewish that not stopping to post stories on Instagram about a hate to Israel, and it's not even stories about the poor people in Gaza. It's like the hate to Israel, and it's challenging. So this is something that add to my job in those days. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Liron. If someone have any question, you just can ask. And yeah, Daniela.
So first of all, it was beautiful to hear how you guys found a way to cope with everything. But I do have a question. I wanted to know, how does the college, the administration, on all the people in charge are actually dealing with this situation? Do they have any special, I don't know, like special ways of do they condemn it? Do they do something about it? Are they taking active steps to, you know, diffuse the situation, to do something about it? Or does it feel like you kind of have to figure it out by yourself, like along with the students?
Danielle,
Yeah.
thank you for the question. Liron can answer, but also I would like that Rob, my colleague from Penn State, you also can add your perspective, and it will be great. Thank you.
So I can say that the connection with the university it's good. It's not better as I wanted it will be, but we feel the support. I can say that it's quiet support. It's not something that they really show us. I feel like they send us email, they coming, they checking what's going on. They approve us to do, for example, tomorrow we're doing the empty Shabbat table on campus. So they're happy for us to do this and like they support us. But I honestly didn't saw until now something officially that they show us their support. It's kind of quiet. I feel like everyone trying like to be in the middle and like see what's happening, because they really get a lot of attention from both sides and everyone push them. But still, like we didn't, in my opinion, we didn't get enough support.
So Rob, you are welcome.
Sure. So, hi everyone, my name is Rob. I'm the rabbi and senior Jewish educator over at Penn State Hillel. Thanks for putting this together, folks. It's really important. Glad we could be here. Danielle, I think it's a really important question. I think that, so Penn State is like largely an apolitical campus, right? We're located in central Pennsylvania. And our student population, for the most part, is, you know, very similar to what Liron was saying about Northeastern, right? On a normal day is not so concerned with what's happening in Israel. Since October 7th, right, we've seen an uptick, obviously, in engagement, whether it's pro-Israel or anti-Israel sentiment. What we've seen from the administration on the whole is a great deal of support. We have the provost on our campus, right, the like number 2, the person who's in charge of like student affairs, has been really open about A, his condemnation of Hamas, and B, support of Jewish students on campus. We're doing our best, like as a Hillel staff and as, you know, a Jewish community on campus, to try to focus on the good that's happening from the administration. We hear stories, right, from a professor here or a student there, about increased anti-Semitic instances, right? And that's really, really scary. And every time that we've brought that up, we've gotten pretty quick responses from our administration, which is something that is encouraging. Obviously, we wish that we didn't have to bring these things up in the first place, but the Jewish community here is well entrenched in terms of our relationship with the university. And so we've benefited a lot from that, right? The provost spoke at our vigil right after, the Tuesday after October 7th. And that was really powerful to see him alongside, the mayor of our small town was there, and our local congressional representative was there. And those were really powerful, like vocal, visible signs of support. That being said, I mean, there's been a number of really just like atrocious acts on campus, largely not physically violent, but harmful nonetheless, right? Things that have been said in class or things that have been said to our students in their homes or on the street, and that is really saddening. But we have found a great deal of like security and safety from our campus partners, whether it's our interfaith communities or student groups on campus. Greek Life in particular has really been rallying around the cause for Israel. And so that's been nice to see. And so yada, 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 right? We've seen an uptick in anti-Semitic incidents, but we've also seen an uptick in support for our Jewish students. And we're always working with the administration to make sure that continues.
So much, and that it gives us also a window for us, for Israel side, a window to your reality and a big picture. And you told about a student from
so right, I asked if one of our students would be willing to share some of her own thoughts, her own perspective. And so Rebecca's here, who spent last summer in Tel Aviv on Onward, and is a really involved Hillel student, and said that she could share some words about just how she's been moving through the world since October 7th.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm a student at Penn State. So like Rabbi Rob said, I was able to do Birthright and Onward this summer, which obviously an incredible experience. And then coming back here as of like a few weeks, it really did a full 180. And honestly, like the response of Penn State has been very good. Like Rabbi Rob said, like I'm involved in Greek Life. So we've done like GoFundMe's and like bake sale fundraisers where all the money goes to IDF soldiers. And honestly, I've been spending a lot of my time at Hillel, just like surrounding myself with the Jewish community, for me has been really helpful. A lot of my professors just simply haven't mentioned the subject and kind of just glisten over it, which I've reached out to some of my professors and they just like kind of like don't see the point or like don't know how to incorporate it into classes, which is offensive and frustrating for me. But there was like obviously you have instances of protests like in the street that's against Israel, and obviously that's super hurtful to see. And like for the first time, like I was afraid to like wear my Jewish star on campus, which was really upsetting and something I never thought I would have to talk about or say. But I mean, basically just like I enjoy spending my time and surrounding myself with my Jewish friends and Jewish communities, and I feel like that's like the only thing I can really do now. So
thank you, Rebecca, for sharing. And I think it's so important to hear both sides and to hear and to feel that we're together in this situation. And my colleagues knew, and feel that it's not only a Israel war. Yeah, it's about peoplehood at all. So I want to invite our next guest, my friend Marva, Dr. Marva Marom Shalev, Golkin Chair of Jewish Education in the Schechter Institute for Jewish Studies and Faculty of Garden College, Department of Community-Based and Formal Education. And together, I still hope and I believe that we will lead this year our common project of Beit Midrash that named Beit, Home. So I still hope that we will lead it and we will do it. So you are welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Yael, for organizing this wonderful encounter. I really thank each and every one of you for being here and for sharing your stories. I also hope and pray, Yael, that we will make this happen this year, because the one thing that can't stop when things fall apart is education, right? It's the one thing that has to continue. And I'm also really happy that Daniela is here, because Daniela and I, we taught together. She was my teaching assistant, but actually she ran the course, of a wonderful course in the English department in Gordon College. And what was interesting about that course was that it was about the multicultural nature of Israel and of Haifa. So I guess to start my words here, I want to tell you something about the most beautiful message, the first message I got. One of the first messages I got on Saturday, October 7th, was from one of our students. His name is Hillel. He's Muslim and he's from Haifa. And he taught me one of the most inspiring facts I learned about the Quran, that they say that darkness is in the plural, but light is in one. And that's why we need to combat darkness. And Hillel wrote to me, "Hi, Marwa, I'm so sorry for everything that is happening. I wish you and your family are safe." And I wrote the same thing to him, and he said, "You know, we say that the darkness is plural and the light is in the singular, so don't stop with the light." And I told him, "You too, just keep safe." And I asked him, "How are you?" And he's like, "We're not getting out of the house. Like, it's too dangerous too. And just like, take good care of yourself." And I think it was really tutoring for me to get this text message in Haifa in the first day of the war, because it shows you beyond doubt that this is not a war between religions. It's not a war between ethnic and racial others. It's not even a war as how you, our friends in America, hear the language of decolonization. Like, what we experience now is about humanity and being human to one another. And whoever thinks this in different terms doesn't understand the situation. So that was one thing I wanted to tell all of you, that Haifa is really about people from many religions, many traditions, and we really try to go through all of this together. Another thing that I can tell you is that I'm listening to our friends across the sea, and I really hear you guys. I spent my grad school years at Stanford. It was 5 long years of my life, and the first thing I did was like a study with the Students for Justice in Palestine group on campus. And it was interesting to get to know these kids that had like really cool agendas of like social justice and like queer politics, and they really had some good stuff going on. I could see that there was a lot of, it was nice to hang around them. And on the other hand, I remember the first event where I felt unsafe, and it was with a conversation with the son of Marwan Barghouti, who is used to be one of the leaders of the Palestinian liberation movements. And he actually organized the suicide bombing where my mother was hurt. And thank goodness she's alive and well. But I remember, like, that was 1 long year of our life, her recovery. And to see his son talking there, and to see the audience starting to fight, those are against him and those are for him. And I remember turning into somebody's opinion. It was so strange. I used to be a person with an experience with somewhere, and all of a sudden people were talking in ways that really essentialized whatever I was experiencing beyond me. And I think that only throughout these years where I, like, in the in the first week, everything we experienced here was grief and horror. But in the second week, I felt like it was time for the unnecessary evil, where all those things that you experience now on campus in the US, where you feel unsafe and where you experience all these protests of people expressing opinions about matters that could be really just, but it's not exactly what is happening here. And so, like, what I really want to tell you, our friends from the US, is thank you. And keep up with what you're doing, because it's so helpful for us. Like, I have professors and friends and colleagues from there who keep sending me all these messages and hoping that I'm okay and that my family is okay. And I think that, you know, it's hard to say anything positive in this time that is just so distraught, but I feel that one thing that we are learning is that the Jewish community is international and does live across spaces and across countries. And we are here for each other. And I think that the greatest thing we could aspire to is to keep this togetherness even when the war is over. And that's why I'm so thankful to you, Yael, for organizing this meeting, and please organize many more for us to continue doing these initiatives together, because we can live in different places and still share the same reality as we experience now. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your so touching words. And I'm for 3 weeks, I'm thinking about the darkness and the light, and it really touched me, because I think that this war, it's about light and darkness and not about something else. And thank you very much. You are from Garden College right now, and you told about diversity of Haifa, and I want to move to Haifa University and to invite Dr. David Barak Gorodetsky, program director of the Ruderman program for American Jewish Studies. And you are welcome, David. In Haifa University, we have 45, approximately % of Arab students, Christian and Muslims, and it's really so hard to imagine how it will be to learn together in our next semester, how it will be for students and for academic staff. And you are welcome to share with us your perspective about all this picture in academic problems and challenging today and tomorrow, and how do you see that?
Okay, so thank you very much, Yael. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to say that I think, you know, especially when the cameras are out, but even when the cameras are not out, it's difficult to know who's from where, right? You know, I'm looking, other than the people that have the light, you know, blinking outside their window, we all kind of look the same over Zoom. So I'm just kind of, you know, thinking and reflecting on that. So it's great to see everybody here. I want to share just maybe just a few reflections on where we are at the moment. I run a program for American Jewish Studies at the University of Haifa. So for American students, this is essentially us learning about you, right? You're very used to the idea that American Jews or Americans need to learn about Israel in general. And this is a program, an MA program, which is geared to teaching Israelis about American Judaism. And I came back from teaching at the University of Chicago for 2 years, 2020 to 2022. So I want to share a few reflections on both sides of the story, but I also want to say, like, you know, to the American students, and I was working very closely with Hillel there as well. I understand where you are. I understand the difficulties. It's sometimes difficult for Israeli students and to kind of understand how complex and difficult and toxic and challenging the campus environment is in the US. I had a boycott against me that was run by SJP against taking my courses. I had students come to me. I had a student come to me and say, first of all, they all shared this one common story, which was the first question that someone asks us when we are when they learn we are Jewish, is what do we think about Israel? And then that's going to determine our kind of social life on campus forever. So this was kind of a very strong notion I picked up on. And also I had a student that told me that he was afraid to take my course, which had the word Zionism in the title, because he was concerned that when he goes looking for a job, in the printout of the grades, they will see a course with Zionism on it, just to show just how complex and toxic the environment has become. So that's like my first kind of understanding. I also want to share that we have a student of the Ruderman program with us, Nadav. Hi, Nadav. Can you maybe? Nadav is also in the army. He's also a Haifa local. I just wrote an open letter to, if not now, we can discuss that maybe a bit later, in a few minutes, but we'll say something about that. So some really, really short reflections on where we are, especially in the Israel-American Jewish relationship at the moment with what's happening. So like my first comment directly on Israel is that, this is, it's difficult sometimes, I think, to feel it from the outside. I'm imagining being on an American campus and, having my morning coffee and going to class. And it's maybe difficult to understand that this is a watershed moment in Israeli history, that there's a before and after, that people talk about the things they used to do before the war, that, there's no way to contextualize this. It's not another Gaza war. It's a totally different upheaval and a totally different experience from Israelis, unsettling to a degree of that's difficult to comprehend. So just one thing to say from the Israeli side, that really, this is a game changer in the way Israelis understand their situation, and it's a very, very different kind of moment. On the other hand, and the very positive side of this is that this has brought Israeli society together. Essentially, Israeli society was, you might say, plagued by a very strong sense of polarization, mostly throughout the recent years. I must admit that I have, on record, at Jerusalem Post, I didn't think we can contain this level of polarization. I don't think we can afford it. And we're kind of learning this maybe now, but there is a very strong sense in Israel about needing to create a new future, which is not the polarized internal struggle, and a lot of really people coming together. I live in a Haredi Moshav, and we have a Haredi community and a non-Haredi community that haven't spoken since the 40s. And, we're doing a lot of stuff together now. So it's just to say how people are coming together in Israel. And also, from the American Jewish perspective, the amazing level of support, of American Jewish support, that I think we are receiving at the moment. It's both in philanthropy, lobbying, the kind of personal notes that you send an Israeli friend that you might have met. Everything matters, but there's a sense on the one end of a very strong kind of coming together of the American Jewish community towards Israel. I will say, though, on another note about that, and I kind of want to share this reflection, that this is usually you define moments as a make or break moment, right? So I think this is a make and break moment for Israel and American Jews. I think for many American Jews, that maybe the majority, maybe 80%, maybe some of you here, maybe most of you here, this is a remaking of the relationship with Israel. And we need to see where that goes. But there are some, from an Israeli perspective, some voices in Jewish American circles that are beyond the pale at the moment for Israelis to kind of contain. And it might be that some American Jews are at a breaking point with Israel, and that's something that we also, I think, need to acknowledge. So that's kind of the two facets of that. One point of reflection of of the crisis. This is a crisis for all of us, and it's a crisis for American Jews, I think, in two fronts at the moment. One, and as a lot has been written about this now, is that the sense that American Jews are no longer welcome in the liberal circles they felt they belong in. Angela Buchdal, in her kind of sermon, Angela Buchdal, the rabbi of Central Synagogue, she kind of said, the interfaith circles I belong to, they fail to condemn this, and I'm shocked. I don't know what to do. So there's this very strong sense for American Jews that that they need to re-understand and reconfigure themselves in this world, and it's a very, very difficult point for American Jews. On top of that, there is the rise of anti-Semitism that many of you have described here, and the concerns around that. So that's kind of, you know, a reflection on the. So essentially, that is to say, we're both undergoing an extreme upheaval. So the question is, what do we do now, right? So where do we take this from here? So one thing I feel is that, just as I spoke about the way polarization in Israel this is called depolarization in like an academic term, but essentially the process of depolarization in Israel, of rekindled sense of unity and moving back from the edges of politics to the center. I think we can and need to do that on the Israel-American Jewish side as well. So I think essentially there is a need to like overcome the sense of polarization that's also been prevailing in Israel-American Jewish relations for the recent years. So they need to kind of overcome that, building the institutions for that, the discourse for that. And one maybe last thought about that is that we need a new language for that. And I think one of the reasons we need a new language is that, and I regret to say this as an academic, but the language of academia is broken. Okay, you know, this is what we understand now. This is what we learn now. The academia has developed its own language, and that language failed us. And this is again, Angela Buchdahl started her speech by saying "en milim," right? There are no words. And there's something we've all part of, you know, this is your courses and your classes and your syllabuses and your social media discourses. Everything is contained in a language that is failed us. And we need to find a way to move back from that language. I have a few thoughts about where and when and how, but we need a new language for the Jewish people, for the Jewish world at the moment. And I hope we can, like, as a new dawn, try and build that language. So that's essentially my 2 cents on the Israel-American Jewish situation. I'll open for questions if there's time and later, but maybe just one thought about our campus, because there's 42% of the students on Haifa University campus are Arabic speaking at home, meaning they can be Arabic, Muslim, Christian, or Druze. It's the most diverse campus in Israel. We're very proud of it. It's a challenge to teach courses like political courses on religion and state in Israel. There's currently the campus is that the semester hasn't started yet and it's been postponed, so we don't need to yet negotiate it, but there's a lot of effort being put into how we handle this and how we do this. I will share maybe an anecdote. I met with we have a Turkish PhD student called Nuran Sinar, who's is actually studying education. Like, she's studying the use of the Bible in the Israeli educational system. And I met with her today on campus, and we kind of, you know, she plays the ney. Those of you that might know what that is. I mean, just sat, you know, outside there and had a discussion about, you know, Judaism and Islam. She joined my community when we had Yom Kippur, just a few weeks before the attack. And it was very heartwarming and kind of, you know, positive to get this feeling that you can still have those kind of discourses, and that, you know, deep down, there are ways to overcome, you know, the differences and speak across different religions and boundaries. It's obvious, on the other hand, that there will be political tensions when the semester renews, and I'm glad that it's not happening at the moment. But there's a lot of also common ground, a lot of groups working together on interfaith issues, etc. at Haifa, and I hope that holds us through this difficult time. So thanks, Yael, thank everyone, and I wish you well wherever you are, and patience and resilience through this difficult time.
Thank you very much. Maybe someone have any question? I have a lot of questions. David knew that. And my fear that this kind of unity of in our society, it's something temporary, and because of threat, and it's not only my fear, yeah. What is your perspective? It's is it the change that will remain with us or not? And what is this kind of change? So it's like you said, we don't have words, maybe only pictures. Yeah,
I agree. It's a great question. It's the most important question for the future of Israeli society, I think. Like, will we stay polarized as we were? I think few things about this. First of all, I think we owe this to the dead. There's no other way in saying this. We owe this to the people that died. And there's a rabbi called Tamir Granot. His son was killed in action a few days ago, and he published a prayer which was in Hebrew, which is essentially in memory of his son. And he says, we cannot allow ourselves this level of polarization anymore. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And I want to say it's not sustainable for the Jewish people as well on the Israel-American Jewish discussion. So I think we need political activism on all sides to make sure that that we don't slide back into that level of polarization. And we need models. We need models of understanding how we talk across differences, how we talk. We've been doing a lot of work on liberal conservative divides and talking across political differences. I want to say also that America is also not doing that well in speaking across liberal conservative divides, right? So let's acknowledge that to some extent as well. And I think, I'd love to see the wisdom of American academics and American practitioners and educators offering us, suggestions. You're dealing in many ways with the same situations. We can't afford them. Again, we can't afford them. So that's I think for me, that's like the guiding light of pushing this forward.
thank you. Oh, such an important and impressive speech. So I don't know. I still have a lot of questions, but we're here to share, and we don't. Anyone have an answer, a right answer, yeah, about our future? So only can do the best that we can do. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. And I want to invite our last guest, but very, very important point of view. Also my friend, Dr. Moti Charter, zoologist and research wildlife from Haifa University and the Shamir Research Institute. Moti is activist, advocacy, and hasbara. For me, yeah. You are welcome, and you are welcome to share also about your private a little bit point where you are, because all our guests today, they are live on a bridge between Israel and the United States, and you are the example. So you are welcome to share with us.
So thank you very much. So first and foremost, I'm 46 years young, a young guy. And I actually made Aliyah from the USA to Israel in 2000. So this is very interesting. It was very interesting for me to hear this discussion because since 2000, I've lived in Israel, and I kind of separated myself from the American Jews in the US. So this is very interesting. And it was also very interesting to me because it's completely different than the discussions happening in Israel today. So this whole conversation was based for American Jews, which is a little bit different than what's going on in Israel today. I guess maybe it depends where you live and whatever. So I'm actually in the reserves now, and I was able to get out. Can't say what I'm doing, but I can say I live about 1.5 kilometers from a very nice Palestinian city called Jenin that is currently quiet. They shoot every night, some guns, but nothing more than that. And the army goes in quite frequently. And I went home and I was just to share what's going on in Israel, to kind of change it from the US to Israel, which everything kind of started here. I came home and I was super happy to go home from the army to my house in a village to first and foremost take a shower. And outside of my house, I found about 2 yards from my house a bullet. Now you can tell, like when you see a bullet, first of all, you don't typically see bullets on the ground, but a bullet was a different size than the bullet used in Israel, and it was an AK-47 bullet from the Palestinians, which Hamas, like, so we live near Jenin. There's two different groups here. You know, there's many terrorists, Palestinian terrorists, not just Hamas. There's also the Islamic Jihad. We have both of them here close to us. So every night they shoot at my moshav, and they're shooting at a place where there's many, many children. I'm a father of 2 girls. And they shoot every night, but they're shooting kind of randomly to check the security and see like where eventually maybe if they want to try something more, they can do that. So when they shoot randomly, a bullet is a projectile. And if you shoot a bullet, it turns out that if it doesn't hit something, at some point it falls. So this bullet just fell literally in front of my house. So this is kind of a sad reality we're facing in Israel, that there is obviously an army, but this what's going on in Israel is way greater than just an army versus Hamas or an army versus Islamic Jihad. It's completely different. I'm a zoologist, which means I research mainly wildlife and animals. I'm a scientist. My main job is to protect wildlife, which I think it means if I protect wildlife and animals, it means I'm a good person. I'm kidding, but so I like, typically my main job is to work with animals, and during the years I have many projects to give you a background who I am, and with our neighbors. So what do I mean by our neighbors? I mean with the Palestinians, Jordanians mainly, to protect wildlife. Because it's very important, because I particularly research birds. And as you know, birds have wings and they don't know political boundaries. So they fly over the borders or fences or whatever. So if I really care about birds, I want to protect them, we have to work with our neighbors, which has always been extremely challenging, to be honest. I currently have projects, funded projects with Jordan. Is extremely, extremely challenging, because in my field of work, I'm a zoologist, but if I mainly research birds, but sometimes other animals too. But in our field of zoology, somebody researches birds called an ornithologist. That doesn't exist in the Middle East, an ornithologist. In Arab countries, there's no such thing as somebody researches birds. Doesn't exist. So in my research with our neighbors, I can't work with an ornithologist. Okay, that's fine. So I work with a biologist. Well, I can't work with a biologist in Jordan or Palestinian biologists. And you know why? Why I can't work with a biologist in Jordan or Palestinian? There's a question. Nobody knows? Well, obviously, it's because Palestinians and Jordanians, the academic world, they boycott Israel. So it's impossible for an Israeli researcher to work with a university in Jordan or a Palestinian university, because there's a 100% boycott. You can work with NGOs and different groups, but not actually universities itself. So I'm telling you all this, but because the reality now in Israel, from October 8th, I've been in the reserves, in the Milawimikon in Hebrew, and I left my whole life behind me. I left my research in birds, and there's a famous saying, I think it was Mark Twain said it. He said, I'm an old person and I'm probably misquoting him, so don't catch me on this, but I'm an old person and I've known many problems in my life, but the majority of them never happened. And what we learned in Israel was that I myself, like many of you, were super busy with all different types of projects and different things. But after the massacre of October 7th, that, as you all know, Hamas entered in Israeli villages, killed civilians, raped women, murdered babies, elderly, took hostage, just completely massacred humans. No other way of mixing it or saying it. Most people say they acted like animals, but I love animals. I research animals, and I won't put down the animals like what they did. Just terrorists that wanted to destroy human life. Everything changed. All of a sudden, I had to put all my schedule behind. I had so many things, writing articles, also teaching at Haifa. All these things I had to put aside, and all of a sudden nothing mattered. Because the reason why is because there's a group of people that want to destroy Israel. They want to destroy Israel, and there's a famous saying that the Palestinians like to say, and I say the Palestinians because it's not just Hamas. They say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And that saying means from the Jordan River to the sea, Palestine will be free. Free of what? Free of Jews. So and I think the original Arabic translation is a little bit different, meaning from the river to the sea, it'll be Arab, meaning like no Jews. So that means if I'm sure in the US, the Holocaust was been taught quite intensively. It's a very big thing in the US, also obviously in Israel. So it would be the second Holocaust. And we got a little glimpse of that, unfortunately, on October 7th. What our Palestinian neighbors, led in this case by Hamas, but also Islamic Jihad and other groups, would do if we're caught off guard. So unfortunately, right now in Israel, things have changed. And I realize that Jews throughout the world are suffering. It's horrible. But it's also a wake-up call that there's a lot of anti-Semitism in the world. And politically correctness is great. But reality is also reality. And sometimes you say reality sucks, but it's still reality. And what's going on in Israel now is Israel has to fight for its life. And currently, Israel has to fight Hamas, because if Israel does not fight Hamas and do something, then Hezbollah in the north will do something. And if Hezbollah doesn't do something, the Palestinian Authority Fatah group will do something, or Islamic Jihad will do something. And what's that something they will do? They'll do horrible things to people that in Western countries you cannot imagine. I can't imagine it to myself. I look at myself as a lover, not a fighter. And I don't want to hurt anybody. I believe everybody deserves to live. And I wish all the Palestinian kids can live and grow up and go to school to be zoologists or political scientists or whatever they like to do, just like Jewish kids or Christian kids. That's the reality I believe in. But currently, there's groups of people throughout the world that don't believe in that. They don't believe in rights. Obviously, women's rights. There's many women here. Let's start with that. There are no women rights there, obviously. So it's super sad. It's very frustrating because everything I was taught as a kid basically was destroyed. Everything I was taught about genetically, I'm a scientist. Genetically, we're all the same. But culturally, in the way we're brought up, is so different. And it's super sad that our lives are changing. And this is a reality that people have to face. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or in Israel, if you're in the Likud or if you're another, it doesn't matter. What matters is the reality is that we have people throughout the world, many people that would like to kill us. And one of the best quotes I heard was, I don't know what's worse, that 2,000 terrorists murdered our families or half the world supported it. It's a reality. And it doesn't matter what we want to accept or disagree. A lot of people believe in that.
Martin, I'm so sorry. We just
Okay.
don't have enough time in
Okay,
just
sorry. This is
time.
me. Sorry.
But
It's a
for
little
me,
bit different.
thank you very much. For me, it's also an opportunity to thank you for your work also in the army now, and your work in with your advocacy. And you're really so if someone wants a reliable information really very, very interesting facts and point of view. So Monty Charter in Facebook and YouTube and
I just want to apologize though that it kind of changed the tone of the conversation, because it was very interesting to me to listen to you. Your discussion till now was completely different with how people talk in Israel, because people are more concerned about the killing and the rape and the murdering, the beheadings and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. So I'm sorry if I changed the mood, but as I said, as a lecturer at the University of Haifa should say and be politically correct, reality sucks. So I apologize.
thank you very much. And I want to thank to everyone for your words, really so powerful and so deep words. And I think that we need to remember the power of our words and to keep giving each other strength and kind words, because we know everyone that our words can build and destroy it, and we can share so many good vibes and energy and peace, and at the same time with another world evil and war. So be safe, and thank you very much, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Thank you so much.